Let's talk non-physical, non-physical. Let's talk non-physical. Let's talk non-physical. Let us have some spirit talk. Some spirit talk. Let us have some spirit talk.
Okay, we got enough, right?
Yeah. When I look at the rocks, I can see a person sleeping, and then the water, the waterfall is like milk being poured over that person. And as the milk falls on the water, it stirs the water below. It's really strange. I don't know if it's my tendency to see, familiar shapes and faces, like pareidolia. The more you stare at it, the more you start to see something else. It's almost like you're looking at something and your mind begins to play around with it and try different possible interpretations of what you're looking at. Sometimes it's like you abandon what's really there, reality, and then you can make up your own based on what you're seeing. I don't know if anyone gets the same thing, but yeah.
Well, actually, what you're saying is inspiring me because I tried a few times, but it looks like you tried way many more times than me. But I'm guessing I should try a bit more because I think it's one way of trying to increase certain connections. So maybe the one good thing would be to choose a very important video, right? Some video that. What do you think about the music, or maybe a possible add somebody talking to it, or add yourself? I mean, for example, get a video with as a background and record yourself saying some stuff. Do you think that can help, Arlindo?
I think to me, music tends to relax me. Well, it depends on what kind of music you're listening
Right.
to. If it's like soft music, especially classical music, it tends to relax me, and it appeals to my emotional side. It brings up emotions, and then those emotions in turn might influence my imagination. I might start to think of fluffy clouds and angelic beings or harps and stuff like that. It takes me to really relaxing and pleasant landscapes or scenarios. Even it could even be narratives, of something pleasant. Could make me feel nostalgic. It could make me think of sometimes it becomes poignant. Makes me think of people that I've lost, and I begin to think of them and how much I would like to see them again. And sometimes it takes me to a place where I could um, I could lose myself in sorrow. The music tends to bring up all those emotions. But then again, if I'm listening to, say, rock music, um, that appeals to my, it makes me excited. It makes me feel differently. It's almost like it's more about uh, bringing up a different kind of energy. It's like I really feel like, yeah, it's almost like makes me feel like I don't care about things that much. Whereas soft music makes me care about things in an emotional way. But if it's heavy music, like rock music, heavy metal, it tends to make me go, I don't give a, shit.
Yeah.
Anything goes. It gives me a kind of freedom in a way, if that makes sense.
Mm.
But there's definitely a difference between listening to a voice speaking without music, or just listening to sounds, and listening to sounds plus the music on top, or someone speaking and the music on top. It definitely changes things. It's almost like it takes you to a different dimension. So for me, it makes a massive difference, music. But that's not to say that, say, just the sound of fire, just the sound of a fireplace doesn't do wonders. I actually fell asleep just listening to those sounds without me.
Yeah, for me, I like the water way more than the fire. It's like with the water, I feel like I can jump into it, like I can relax. With the fire, it's like, okay, it's nice, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't feel that relaxed, that comfortable. With the water, it's like I can be inside the music, inside the water. It's like it invites me more, right?
If you
Yeah,
spend
yeah,
a lot of time in hell, then fire is very comforting.
Maybe, Michael, maybe your experience that you were saying at the beginning of feeling like water,
Yeah.
maybe it's related to this.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, I think sounds can help steer us in different ways, but in Monroe Institute, I didn't listen, haven't listened to too many of their tapes, but sometimes they'll play music, or they'll have Monroe speaking or stuff like that, and it depends on where you're at, because once you're in a full-fledged experience, you don't want any of those extra things, right? You just want to experience it. If you're getting visuals, audio, everything, you don't want those external sounds interfering with your experience. So it just depends on the state of mind you're in as to whether or not you want to have the external thing.
I tend to think of an analogy. There are some films that you watch that tell you exactly what you should focus on. They're very descriptive, and there's a strict narrative, and it doesn't give you much scope for imagination. But if you're watching a film like the Blair Witch Project, one of those films that the camera moves and it doesn't show you everything. It's like a suggestive narrative, and it leaves you wondering what's really going on. That's a different kind of movie that gives you more scope for imagination. You can pick and choose. You can decide what's really going on, whereas a different type of movie doesn't allow you to do that. It has a stricter narrative. It's not suggestive. So I tend to think that you can approach altered states from different different positions. It could be something restrictive, like, and simple, like, say, a letter or an object, and then it gives birth to something else, and it can have like a slow evolution. Or it could be just you start from a clean slate and you wait for anything to happen. You can either wait for something to come, or you can just narrow your focus down to something.
You certainly want to have something in your back pocket where you can be like, I know this works. And it works for this particular sense. And I think like in my case, like I'm really good at lucid dreaming. So I've got that down. I'm really excited about it. It works. But now I want to like build this new thing because Claudio is really good at visualization. I want to see if I can build that up. And for me, it's been sort of like an analytical journey where we start from almost like round one, like after images and stuff like that. And like you also said with the memory thing, I noticed that I can visualize within my mind. Like it's not necessarily my visual field, but I can, and that's great. And I want to build that too, because is something that I can do. And if I can keep working on that, eventually, it'll become really powerful in its own right. And I've reached the point now where my layer one is starting to show me stuff. It's black and white and it's like cartoonish, but it's starting to show up. So I guess what I'm saying is if you practice like the after images and stuff like that, you may start getting even the smallest amount of visual effects.
But
Yes.
you realize the cat out of thin air, Mike. You're the master
Yeah, spiritual God.
of the Lion King, and all of a sudden the cat appeared.
You're being loved.
Actually, it's getting near lunchtime for the cat, so he's letting me know.
Oh, right.
Maybe is it a she or a he?
It's a he.
So he might, I mean, awaken more your head chakra,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I
your
do
crown
know
chakra.
that he recognizes when there's spirits in the room. He gets all excited. So
What Zoltan was saying earlier made me think that people should really try to explore themselves. It's like you know, I think people should, yeah, you can read books by other people, you know, people who say they've got expertise in a particular field, and they can show you a way how they've done it, and you can take that on board. You can take tips, but at the same time, because people are different at different things, they're good at different things, they should explore themselves, and you know, there might be an easier way for them that they haven't discovered. So yeah, I was just thinking about what you were saying, and I think people should definitely, especially when they've just started, you know, when they're just newbies, they should explore themselves.
Yeah, of
And they,
course, because
because an expert can't do it, and he says that's not the right way, it doesn't mean that it's definitely impossible.
and okay, also you need to work with the 2 or 3 triggering senses, like for example, not only visualization but also music, and especially not every music, but the type which trigger you emotions in you, because through these emotions you can start feel vibrations. When you can start feel vibrations, vibrations can create a bridge to whatever you want to go. Everything is in you, and when you don't need to reach enlightenment, because you need to reach your higher self inside you, because everyone before incarnation has been taught about this incarnation, about tasks, what he need to do, what tools we need to use for that. Like, for example, we are using visualization, meditations, contemplations, prayers, and so on. And it is given before the incarnation. And plus, Michael mentioned lucid dreaming. During lucid dreaming, you can get more information about it, because every night during some special dreams or special occasions, you are taught again and again same stuff to be prepared for next day, for next week, for next month, to be able to handle your physical and mental and emotional situations which you are facing. You have this inner state, and this inner state pull back your development, because you were incarnated on this earth for this dualism which is here. This is different than up there, because up there is many positive things, many positive vibrations, positive. Everything is in dualism, in union.
yeah.
And we need to experience pain. You need to experience negative stuff to have it recognized, which is what, and by your experience, you are getting understanding why you need to choose the positive ones and not negative ones, and why these two can be united.
It doesn't matter if you create a portal, or if, you know, I've had experiences where I can literally look at my hands, and my initial goal might be to say see the subatomic realm, you know, so I'm looking at my hands and I'm trying to see the cells first. So the more I stare at my hands, I begin to see the lines, and the lines turn into ridges. I've had this experience before, and then all of a sudden I begin to see like things moving through the ridges, and they look like sperm cells. So I want to go into it, and before I know, uh, you know, the topography of the palms of my hands turn into like this terrain. And then before I know it, I'm there, and it's like a new landscape. So through my hands, I literally can go elsewhere just by staring at my hands in a lucid dream. I stare at them, and then I become absorbed into a new landscape. And then what was once, what was before sperm cells, suddenly turn into, say, like squiddies from the Matrix, like machines, flying machines, and stuff like that. So I think people get bogged down in. They have a tendency to just think in terms of how the physical world works. You know, in waking life, we're so used to the physical laws and gravity, and you know, and you have to, in order to go to the next room, you have to open the door and move out of the bedroom and into another one. And these are habits that we take from the waking world into these altered states, and we assume, you know, we almost assume that it works the same way. Like, oh, in order for me to get somewhere else, I must go through something like a door. So I must create a portal to go through to get to another place or another dimension, when really they can break those barriers. They could start thinking in terms of, I've got more freedom now. I don't have to, you know, what I was so used to before doesn't have to apply now. I can just I can just go with my imagination wherever my imagination can take me. So you know, we don't even have to, I don't think we even have to think in terms of I'm inside my body or I'm outside. It's literally, I try not to have preconceived notions about these experiences. I just think there's I try to simplify it basically. There's my field of awareness, and anything can arise in that field of awareness. And however I get to where I want to go doesn't really matter. We could cut corners instead of, you know, instead of just thinking in terms of how we're used to think, you know, because
Yeah,
of
course, yeah.
waking life.